What did I say?
Just support WrestleTalk. Give the channel a subscribe.
Hi, support WrestleTalk, and I forget the rest of the line, so we're just going to take this again. Give us a subscribe.
Yeah, I struggle with it as well. I always trip over it.
Give us a subscribe.
That's the way.
Okay. What's it? Support WrestleTalk.
You're the star here.
Okay. Hi, this. Support WrestleTalk. Hi, support. Okay. Hi, support WrestleTalk and give it a. Jesus! Oh my goodness! Right, sorry. Take 10. Support WrestleTalk. Give it a subscribe.
There you go.
Okay. Hi, support WrestleTalk and give it a subscribe.
I'm so enunciated.
Support WrestleTalk! It's Royal Rumble this weekend, and a lot of men have been announced for the card, but not so much women. But there are enough spaces for big surprises, big nostalgia returns, big full-time returns, legend cameos, and also just a few comedy tidbits. Tidbits?
Yeah, tidbits.
Tidbits, not titbits.
Not titbits.
I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleTalk Review Show. Please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, leave a comment down below with what you think's going to happen at this weekend's Royal Rumble, and go over to WrestleTalkMerch.com to get yourself a new WrestleTalk t-shirt. Creative has nothing for you, and
I'm having a big one.
The biggest one.
In the style of Run DMC.
Right, so what we've done here is we have listed all of the reported, rumoured, speculated returns for this weekend's two Royal Rumble matches, the men's and the women's. And we're going to go through them and just sort of give our opinions whether they're going to happen, and slightly informed by the betting odds, the most recent betting odds, which are from the Bovada Sportsbook.
I thought you were going to say the most reliable of sources. The betting odds.
Yeah, stuff that fluctuates massively from hour to hour. You might as well go. Yeah, we're gonna reference who's gonna return at the Royal Rumble based on Bitcoin prices.
Based on horoscopes.
That's how far it varies. Right. So first up, Edge.
Now, I know we've just made fun of this a lot, but for me, this is the most likely return.
I agree. Yeah.
In the Royal Rumble. Mike Johnson is so adamant that this is happening. I think he went as far to say, my belief is he will be in ring in WWE by this time next week. And we posted that on say like Wednesday, I think it was, like Tuesday, Wednesday. So he is saying that it's either going to happen at Worlds Collide, it's going to happen on SmackDown, it's going to happen at the Rumble, or it's going to happen on Raw. But there is 4 opportunities for Edge to return here, and if I was a betting man, which I am not, I've got to say it's the Rumble.
Yeah, because it's not going to. It could be SmackDown. You know, he feels so. What's the word?
Connected to that brand.
Yeah, part of that brand's fabric. He was the guy that built that show up, really, in the mid to late noughties.
Before it was the house that AJ Styles built, it was very much the house that Edge and The Undertaker.
I was going to say it was the house. It was the room that Edge had sex in a lot. It was his shack out back from Raw. So I think if WWE do this quite often, they'll do a huge return angle as close to the pay-per-view as possible to get that swooping of buys and interest ahead of the actual show, because it's WWE don't really build things over time now. They do the bulk of the push, not even on the go-home show, but a few days before the event.
Just on that topic, we were just saying that there's only 5 women announced for the Rumble, for the Women's Rumble. I wouldn't be surprised that on Sunday they're going to announce a load of names.
Oh yeah.
As a way to be like, hey, now it's time to order the WWE Network. We've just announced 20 names that are going into the Rumble.
Or maybe it's another SmackDown angle. That all the NXT people are actually like, oh yeah, we were part of this as well. And, because they're going to have to be. Edge is currently 1, 2, 3, 4. He's the 6th favourite to win.
Yes. I don't think he's going to win the Rumble. I think that he is going to... Yeah. And I would love to see Edge in the Rumble. And the reason why I am thinking it is quite likely, it's not just because Mike Johnson is so adamant that it's happening. It's because Edge is so adamant that it isn't happening.
Yeah.
He is very much in the case of like, no, I'm telling you, it is not happening. Wink, wink. It really is feeling like he's not. Oh man, what was it's not Khan. We're not doing Khan in Star Trek. What was it? Into Darkness?
You can't say Khan in a wrestling
Oh,
context.
okay. Yeah, sorry.
Khan!
Not that Khan. But yeah, like when JJ was like, Benedict Cumberbatch is not playing Khan in Star Trek. He's just not. Oh, by the way, it's Khan.
Christoph Waltz is not Blofeld.
It's just not Blofeld.
Blofeld. But just to give the overall history, Edge actually returned at SummerSlam. He hit a spear on Elias on the pre-show, which was just such a weird place to do such a spot.
Well, it was in Toronto.
Yeah, but, do it on the main card then. I think it was worthy.
But that's on YouTube. That's where more people have seen that than they did the show itself.
And then he's gotten in very good shape off the back of it. There are all these reports that he's getting checked out in Alabama. Is it Alabama?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is where the sort of WWE medical offices are. Anyway, I would say that's going to happen.
I'm not going to say for sure.
Okay, we've got to say yes or no.
Oh, no! Because otherwise, because I don't want people to sit there, like, watching the Rumble, number 30 hits, Edge doesn't return, people are like, you mother effers told me it was going to happen.
Wait, this is based on our opinion. I think it's going to happen.
So do I.
There we go. John Cena.
No.
I don't think so either.
No.
Too busy with movies.
Yeah, I don't know what movie he's currently working on, but I would have just assumed that he is busy with his movies.
I think, if I had to guess, it's a franchise that The Rock has just departed. He swooped on him now. Well, you need a wrestler, big guy, who can do comedy as well as seriousness. Over here, Buzz.
Over here, that's me.
Of course, go back and watch the Fantasy Booking Warfare if you haven't, with me and Adam Blompier. He booked a fantastic angle with John Cena and Edge in there.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think Cena's going to be there. Likewise, do I not think Kurt Angle is going to be in it, which was sort of Blompier's run of legend returns. It was Angle comes out like 26, then Cena for that face-off, then Edge for that face-off.
Yeah. I don't think Angle's. No, I think he's very much done. You and I saw him at the BT Sport events when they were launching over here, and oh boy howdy was it uncomfortable to watch that man just stand.
Yeah, you know how he got that? You could see it in the Raw general manager days when he's got that slight hunch. I don't know what it is. It must be, is it a neck, a trophy thing?
Like he has to like bend his knees and sort of like have his back straight in order to just stand comfortably.
Presumably he'd hunch over if not. I mean, when you say comfortably, I imagine comfortably for him is something akin to this.
Yeah,
but
laying down.
You've got a safe face and it's the legs that buckle.
Yeah.
Lars Sullivan.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. He's been out for a while, but we haven't seen or heard of him because of the injury that he suffered.
I saw a bit of it.
So did, I mean, Andy Datson was the one. He was our sleuth reporter to go through and watch the, I think his exact quote was like, he's surprisingly not well endowed.
The alleged.
The alleged.
Because it's not been confirmed. We've just got to say
a lad that looks very much like him.
There was a sort of a naughty video from a while back that he did.
Yeah.
People do it. It's fine.
Absolutely.
It's just fun. It's definitely funny. It is. I'm not against it.
No, neither am I.
But you cannot argue that it's funny.
Yeah. You cannot argue.
It'd be a double standard if I said it wasn't.
Yeah. Considering all of those forum posts that he made as well, for this then to come out afterwards.
Oh, it's delightful. It's like, oh, you're being really homophobic. And you turned out to have once done a homosexual thing?
You went gay for Paige.
I'm so shocked. Right, so I would say no. He seems to be injured.
Yeah, I think we're not going to see him for a little while yet.
There was a couple of months ago, he posted some workout videos where he looks in really good shape and sort of mobility. But yeah, I think it would muddy the road to WrestleMania.
I'm also going to say as well, there's too many big guys in this year's Rumble. Like, you've got Braun in there, you've got Brock in there, you've got Rowan in there. You've got, like, a lot of these sort of unstoppable monsters and Big Show as well, to put another unstoppable monster in there is just like there's only so many times you can say, how on earth are you going to throw this person out? This is
a promotion ultimately booked by Vince McMahon. I don't know why you think it can't have. There is a limit to the big sweaty men.
There's only so many orgasms that man can have in 1 hour-long period.
So it's 7. But, I haven't been able to break it in a 24-hour period. Get in touch if you have. But on that topic, Tyson Fury, he's a big guy.
Now, do we know if Fury was the draw that WWE were expecting him to be? Like, he did get them some mainstream appeal.
Yeah, but you know, he hasn't brought any viewers in like Tyson, which is the most famous, effective example of this sort of thing. Which
was kind of my question. Like, it was sort of an experiment to be like, hey, look, Saudi are paying us a lot of money. We think we could put this match on. We think that could draw in this mainstream appeal. The BBC reports on it, for God's sake. But did that translate then into extra people sticking around to make it worthwhile paying to bring him back?
Well, I don't think it was ever meant for that. It was a move to appease the Saudi prince first, because he's very into boxing at the moment, it seems. And anyway, he has a big fight with Deontay Wilder in February, so I don't think he'll be in this at all. It definitely won't be. If he is involved, it'll be to, like, I don't know, get up on the apron, punch Braun Strowman, Strowman gets eliminated by someone else. He won't actually get in the ring because, you know, he's 5 weeks away from one of the biggest fights of his life.
You think you'll think they'll stick with the Braun thing?
Yeah. But so I would say no.
Okay, so far we've said...
no's. It's only Edge so far.
Yeah, I was about to say, we've said yes to Edge, no to Cena, no to Sullivan, no to Angle, and no to Fury.
I'm going to say no to The Rock.
Yeah, I'm saying no to The Rock as well.
I'm going to say yes to Goldberg.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that one. I can definitely see them doing Goldberg for another Lesnar-Goldberg stare-down.
And Riddle. If Riddle's a feature of this, Triple H said he's the obvious one to go in there against Lesnar.
I mean, your fantasy booking was so inspired to have Gilbert come out as sort of the red herring, but then to build that up for the number 30 reveal of Goldberg. Yeah. I don't think WWE could do anything that good.
Well, borrow it. That was the only good thing in that booking. The only thing I have not regretted since doing it. Where were we? So now we're into the sort of more... So Jeff Hardy, I'd also say no.
Yeah, I think he is still out. Also, he's got court dates.
That's it. His court date is post-WrestleMania, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how injured he is now.
I don't know how injured he is.
For a while.
But this isn't TNA, so they're not going to put the world title on him, which they did when he had court dates due. So I don't think they're going to bring him back for... I would be surprised if they don't bring him back at all before his contract expires.
I think we'll see Kane.
Yeah, I could definitely see Kane.
As an entrant, you know, the Rumble match feels like Kane, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's another monster to put in there.
Booker T is something that's been teased a lot, and what got a lot of people interested was that WWE copyrighted the trademark for Harlem Heat. Again.
Yes, but it should be noted, it was for merchandise. So it was for merchandise purposes. They are in Houston, and I imagine they're probably going to sell some Harlem Heat sort of commemorative merchandise for that, you know, event in itself. But I really wouldn't be surprised if they did want to do that Harlem Heat versus Revival match. You know, the Revival, they wouldn't have put that on TLC pre-show if they weren't, I mean, what am I talking about? If they didn't have plans to do something down the line with it.
Well, Vince's biggest bugbear, and he legit hates it, is people teasing a match that won't happen.
Yeah.
So, and he apparently must have signed off on that. It was a very orchestrated angle. So I'm going to say yes to Booker T. And Santino. This is a report from PW Insider, sort of came out today, last night.
So we came into the office today, and you said, oh, have you seen the Santino report? And all of a sudden my heart was like, oh no, what did he do? But no, he's rumoured for the Rumble.
Yeah. Well, I think this could go two ways. Because maybe it's not the men's Rumble he goes into.
Oh, you think it might be No, I don't think they could do a Santino thing, not in 2020.
Well, you say that. They did make James Ellsworth win the Women's Money in the Bank.
No. The only way...
If Nia Jax can go in the men's Rumble...
The only way it works is if he's in both of them.
That's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it.
Equal opportunities.
I think that's the way to do it, is that he appears in the men's Rumble. If the women's one main events again, he comes out as Santina.
Well, I think you could do it the other way round too.
Yeah, you could do it.
That's the funnier way. But
yes.
So yeah, if Mike Johnson's saying it, that's pretty much he's very on the money.
Very on the money.
So go over to PW Insider, take out an Elite subscription. It's well worth it. So the only other men's one we haven't discussed is CM Punk.
And I'm saying no.
I am also saying no. And you know what? Ultimately, I wouldn't want him to.
Yep.
I don't feel like... I would want him to return in a different way. I don't know why.
I don't know. The Rumble seems like a really good way for him to return, but like... when I look at the sort of the field of people, the only person I could want to see him go up against would be Seth.
And Brock.
Yeah, Brock.
Brock at number one.
I'm less interested in Brock. I'm more interested in a match with him and Seth. But Seth is so busy at the moment with Owens and Joe and Big Show and all this sort of stuff. I don't see how putting CM Punk in there is worth it. It will just overshadow Owens and Joe more.
Yeah. Well, but Punk has been notable by his absence on WWE since Seth's heel turn, where he was referencing it. Apparently Vince was angry, but there's speculation maybe Vince was angry to work the boys, and there is a plan to do Rollins versus Punk. He wasn't advertised for this week's WWE Backstage, even though it was his first appearance this year. We don't know.
Okay, so you carry on for a second, because WrestleVotes tweeted out something yesterday.
Oh, it was about the plans being kept very...
So WrestleVote said, I've nearly got it here. Guys, I've been asking, details are being kept quiet regarding the Rumble, which is a really good thing, to be honest. The element of surprise, no matter how big or small the surprise may be, is good for the event, which I 100% agree with. But that, WWE keeping it so close to their chest, does mean that they've got someone big. And whether that is Edge or whether it's Punk, I don't know if it's going to be both. But them keeping it so close to their chest makes me think it is a big name.
Or they've got a terrible idea.
It's Cain Velasquez.
Yeah. Over on the women's side of things, we've only had 5 women announced at this point. I believe it's Charlotte Flair, Nikki Cross, Sasha Banks was the most recent one.
Yeah.
What's her name? Sarah Logan.
And Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
So
there's 25 people. Apparently NXT and NXT UK are going to heavily feature.
But they're going to have to, because they don't have enough women on either roster to fill out that Rumble. I think we could probably guarantee that Liv and Lana will be in there to have a stare down.
Yes, yeah. Shayna Baszler is the overwhelming favourite, going by the odds. Charlotte Flair is next, then Sasha Banks, and then Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, so Ronda Rousey's been a name that's been rumoured for a while. Some people thought she might be returning at Survivor Series, and with the whole Becky Lynch loss at WrestleMania, it sort of makes sense in a way for her to return at the Rumble, win the Rumble, and set up that rematch at WrestleMania, which will have Charlotte Flair added to it, and then we can have lots of suspensions and firings and apologies to really beef up the interest in that story.
Well, there is a good story there that they could do. You know, Becky beats Asuka, and then Ronda wins the Rumble. Becky's like, well, I've got one more thing to do then, and it's beat you with your shoulders to the mat this time.
Tap you out.
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb, because I played it safe with the men's. I'm going to say, yes, we're going to get a Rousey return.
I'm going to say no. I think she's going to return at WrestleMania.
Ooh. Ruby Riot's currently out with injury. She is apparently in the area, as is Nia Jax.
Yeah, which is good for me, because she was my surprise pick for the predictions.
I'm going to say yes to
bonus
both.
Point. I'm going to say yes to Riot and yes to Jax.
I'm also going to say maybe Jax could appear in the men's.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. The year after they did it.
Yeah. That was a great spot.
Now, 2 a lot more out there ones. Paige is the one that's been rumoured and speculated.
Yeah.
In varying degrees.
I'm not so sure on Paige. She was very cagey in her answers about it when she was doing the UK press tour for the BT Sport launch. She was not, it was never a very definitive no. She was being very cagey about it. But I don't know on that one. I think it'd be great. Yeah. I think it'd be amazing. But I'm unsure.
But you've got to make it.
You and your steadfast rules that I feel like we've just made up as we go along.
Yeah.
I'm saying no.
I'm going to say no too. And I'm also going to say no to AJ Lee.
Yeah. AJ Lee's a really interesting one. I think if there's one person in this world that really wants her to return, it's Stephanie McMahon. And if Stephanie wants something that bad, I think she will try as hard as she can to get it to become real. You know, look at Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey really was a Stephanie and Triple H project. Yeah. So I could definitely see Stephanie really pushing hard to get AJ. AJ left the company because of the bad blood between Punk and WWE. Now that they're, sort of seemingly on firmer ground now, could that open up the doors for an AJ Lee return? I'd really like it as well, actually. Yeah. Apart from the fact her music is dreadful. It is among the worst.
I like her music.
Oh, no. For me...
And she skips down to the ring.
I know I'm going to get heat for it, and I got heat when I did the Royal Rumble Rumours video. It is among the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. But I would love to see her back in a WWE ring.
If she comes back, I really hope Paige is also in there, just for a bit of a that would be an incredible moment. But I'm going to say no to both. And let us know what you guys think. The possibilities of sudden returns and nostalgia, cameos, legends, actual full-time comebacks, yada yada yada. Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll be replying to those throughout the weekend before the event. Luke and I will be here on Sunday evening to live stream the Royal Rumble along with you guys.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I love the Rumble.
So excited. I love the Royal Rumble.
The first one we've ever live streamed.
I was thinking about this the other day. Yeah, this is because we started live streams at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So this is going to be our first Rumble live. I'm super excited.
And hopefully we can do it in our new set-up studio, which is a bit comfier.
Yeah, we got chairs that are terrible for lumbar support, but they just make you slide.
Oh, you recline. It's going to be freezing though.
Well, no, is the heater going to arrive in time?
I know it said Friday, but it might be Monday. If it's not today, it's Monday, and we're going to be... We might do it in here. So
it's not much warmer in here, in fairness.
We did our Royal Rumble predictions in a new kind of way. I was very happy with the video.
I thought it was really funny.
Thank you, everyone who went out of their way to go and tell us that they enjoyed the video. It did mean a lot to us.
It really did, yeah.
Because we try and keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And sometimes it turns out not that freshly squeezed.
And sometimes it turns
freshly
out
squashed.
Sometimes it turns out you put a broken microphone at the front.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll fix that next time. It wasn't the room's fault. It was the broken mic.
Yeah.
That was the audio issues.
You might remember last year when people were like, "Hey, one of your mics is really, really quiet." Yeah, it was that mic. It was the broken microphone that we've yet to replace.
So we are going to do, if you missed the sort of actual chat about the Rumble, me and Luke are going to have that in the podcast version of this show. So go over to wherever you get your podcasts from, download this episode, and at the end there'll be a little podcast exclusive of us chatting through the matches.
Yeah, yes, you can get it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. It's available wherever podcasts are available.
But right now, because we haven't done it yet, NXT TakeOver Worlds Collide.
It's not called that.
Blackpool Collide.
It's just called Worlds Collide.
Where is it? It's in Houston as well.
It is, yes, it's in Houston. So Laurie and Simon talked about this yesterday, and I think we've actually got a couple of questions about it in the mailbag as well, that they feel Worlds Collide has really hampered NXT.
It's their Survivor Series.
Yeah, because it has become this sort of arbitrary thing. Bearing in mind, they've got Portland in 2 weeks, and their argument is that they've done no effective build for that show because they've been so focused on Worlds Collide, which effectively means nothing. Yeah. Which is a real shame.
Some fantastic matches, though.
And that's what I was about to say. The thing that really, I think this is going to be a fantastic show. I mean, this is a show that's got Finn Balor versus Ilya Dragunov on it. Come on.
Dragunov just does something to me in my heart.
Yes. On the pre-show, we have got Mia Yim versus Kaylee Ray. Kaylee Ray is the NXT UK Women's Champion, and that is who I'm going with.
I went for Mia Yim.
Really?
I'm really, really flying blind with a lot of this.
I am. So when I was doing my predictions, I suddenly realised that with the exception of Kaylee Ray, I just picked all NXT guys. And I was like, oh, maybe. No. I probably should throw a couple of UK ones now. I don't think that this show is designed for them just to completely bury the NXT UK brand. Now, up next, we've got what I think is going to be a show-stealing match. DIY of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa versus Mustache Mountain of Trent Seven and Tyler Bate. Yes, please, mate. And this is what I find so effing infuriating about WWE. Why isn't that on SummerSlam? Why isn't that at a WrestleMania match? Why is this being a buried match on this takeover, on this Worlds Collide show? That makes literally no sense to me.
I agree. I also watched a clip of Moustache Mountain on the BBC children's show Crackerjack.
Really? Oh, they brought Crackerjack back, haven't they?
And they can't open a jar of, I think, marmalade or something. And Moustache Mountain came and said, I'm a big, strong boy. Let me get it open. And they try, and they really try. And they get, no, it's stuck that. It's like Trent and Tyler, their comedic delivery is on point. And it's in front of a live studio audience. Maybe that's where they're more comfortable. Yeah. It's very, very good stuff.
Who have you gone for, though?
I'm going for Moustache Mountain.
I think I went with DIY. I think I went with Moustache Mountain on this one as well.
I think you can play on a bit of Ciampa Gargano rustiness. And, they can lose graciously.
Angel Garza defends his Cruiserweight Championship against Isaiah Swerve Scott and from NXT UK, Jordan Devlin and Travis Banks. It is so upsetting to see Jordan Devlin in this Cruiserweight slot.
And Travis Banks.
Yeah.
Travis Banks is incredible. I think it's going to be a retention for Garza.
I've gone the same way.
Yeah.
As we said earlier, Finn Balor versus Ilya Dragunov.
Oh. Balor's going to win this. I'm worried for Dragunov because I feel like they're just going to keep booking him as the guy who loses in really exciting matches against top talent. You know, Cesaro, Finn Balor. He's the guy who gets that main roster slot, really. But that means he's always losing.
Yeah.
I don't watch NXT UK.
I think they are slotting him into a feud with Walter over the title.
I'll watch that.
Yeah. I actually have gone with Dragunov on this one, and the only reason I did is because I think I went with too many NXT guys. So I was like, wild card prediction. But I still have time to change it, so I am going to change it back to Finn Balor, and I'm going to move to Mustache Mountain.
Well, that's my guiding strategy here. That NXT will win overall by a margin.
Yeah. I'm not sure they can do a points thing because there's 6 matches, which means it could just be a draw.
Well, no, it'll be NXT will win 4 matches.
Okay, yeah. For the NXT Women's Championship, or just the NXT Championship as it's being renamed, Ria O'Reilly, very, very different person, Ria Ripley versus Toni Storm.
Ripley's got to retain, right? She's got so
100%.
much momentum at the moment. Love her.
100% it's got to be Ripley. And in a mouth-watering 8-man main event, it is Imperium of Walter, Fabian Aichner, Marcel Bartel, and Alexander Wolf versus the Undisputed Era of Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and Roderick Strong. That chop from Walter to Adam Cole on NXT was a thing of beauty. And I cannot wait for this match.
Yeah.
This has got like match of the year written all over it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to go for Undisputed Era. Yeah. Also, on the other one, I think Toni Storm losing might facilitate a call-up to the main roster.
Yeah.
And I think that's long overdue. But really, I cannot wait for that. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic show. Just so everyone doesn't hate us in a knee-jerk response, prepare yourselves now. We're not going to cover this, unfortunately. We're too busy over the weekend. There's not enough people to do it. And of all the shows, we do we cover SmackDown? Do we cover Royal Rumble? Yes. So unfortunately, this is the one that's missed out.
Yeah.
So we're not going to live stream it, and we won't be able to do like a 4-minute review or any of those bits either.
Yeah. It's a real shame. It's a real shame. But blame WWE for moving SmackDown to Fridays.
We'll try and find a way to figure it out going forward, but January's sort of been a reshuffling month for us while we figure out what the proper schedule and everything that works is. And this has been, considering all the stuff that's gone on, this has been the only victim. You know, we covered all of New Japan and all that, so don't hate us.
Yeah.
Also, we've got Wrestle League revamped.
Yeah. Relaunch.
Because the Royal Rumble starts the latest season of Wrestle League. And now, Patreon exclusive, $5 and above, of course, we've got an online portal to make it really easy for you to change your votes and do all that stuff and see where you are in the leaderboard. It's not going to be a case of, oh, I've got to check a few days later, see where I am on the thing, or how do I find that Google form again. We've invested in a proper web portal as part of WrestleTalk.com. So, yeah, click the link down below to go there, and you can log in with your Patreon. Log in, that's how it works. And if you don't have a Patreon, you just click the button and you can sign up, and then you can log in.
Yeah.
So,
And it's going to be a really fun predictions league. We're going to try and do some more stuff about it over on our Facebook page. We're going to try and do some more community posts about it. Andy Datson's going to go through some stats. So if you're a stat-loving man or woman, you're going to really enjoy being part of Wrestle League now. And it's particularly if you enjoy Andy Datson doing videos.
There is a weird contingent. Everyone's got a niche, and that's his.
Yeah.
So let's do some war.
Oh no, we had a really good suggestion.
Okay.
Someone suggested we do Nirvana's "Rape Me, but Rate Me," which I think is a bit dodgy in 2020. But I did like. It's ratings man. Hallelujah, it's ratings man. Hey man. So
tall, young, dark and sweet. Is that it? Absolutely soaking wet.
It always reminds me when I went to Bloodstock a few years ago for my cousin's stag do. We went to go watch Tragedy, I think they're called. I can't remember what the band's called now, but they are a metal Bee Gees covers band.
Oh.
and they did a metal cover of It's Raining Men, and you've never seen so many like greasy, heavy, burly blokes with long, greasy hair, metal heads, just all at the top of their lungs shouting, "It's raining men! Hallelujah, it's raining men!" It was absolutely phenomenal.
I think we need to change the men part. It needs to be, "It's raining something."
Right, so it's ratings.
It's ratings.
Stan.
It's rating stats.
There you go.
Hallelujah, it's a rating stats. Okay, well, the AEW NXT ratings war are in, and it's an interesting one. AEW won for the 4th week in a row. It's a clean sweep for 2020 so far, but they were down and NXT was up.
Yes, taped show for AEW, so a lot of people expected it to be down because taped shows historically have never done. They don't do as well as live shows do because people have already seen the results. But I think AEW's thought process was, got a big title change, it's going to be a cool show to look at. That should stop the ratings pattern, that historical ratings pattern.
Yeah, and they did everything they could, in my opinion, to insulate against that usual ratings drop. It's one of the most memorable wrestling shows I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it was only down 7%. Did 871,000 viewers, which is still very, very good. But it's dropped below that 900,000 that they've been quite consistent with in 2020.
Yeah, it was 940,000 last week. It's interesting because they sort of lost, quick maths, 70,000 viewers, and NXT gained 70,000 viewers. I don't know if it's because NXT, even though it hasn't really promoted it, this is a go-home show
for Worlds Collide.
But more importantly, they did say that they were going to be involved in the Rumble. Like that was on a few bits. It wasn't just a report. It was on a few bits of WWE marketing.
Yeah.
So I wonder if people thought, oh, I wonder if there's going to be a big Rumble angle.
They also did have a title match themselves as well, with Keith Lee versus Strong for the North American Championship. So I'd imagine that was probably a bit of a ratings draw for people. But that did 769,000, up 10% from last week. They were also 14% up in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is super duper important. But Dynamite won every demo except for the over 50, which is really NXT's core audience.
Yeah. But it's pretty much the same amount of people who are watching wrestling overall as last week, just it's AEW's gone down, NXT's gone up. So congratulations to both brands.
Absolutely. Another great night in the ratings and the wrestling world itself. Right, so should we do our stories of the week?
Yes.
We'll do your second because it's funnier. But my most interesting story this week, and a story I've been very fascinated by, is this, and it is speculation on my part.
Well, informed by something else that's said offhand.
Kenny Omega losing power in AEW. Now, if you saw my Wednesday news episode, I went into like a lot of the context surrounding this. You know, Kenny Omega's signed in February. His two big ideas in AEW 2019 were, I'm the worst wrestler in the world, or I'm losing my place as the best wrestler in the world, and the Joshi girls being sort of like the figureheads of the women's division. The Kenny Omega being the worst wrestler in the world really didn't do anything for anyone. No. He lost to Jericho, he lost to Pac, he lost to Moxley. He, not positioning himself as the top star in the company, got a lot of criticism from fans, got a lot of criticism from wrestling pundits. It didn't work. And 2020 has seen that being completely shifted the other way, and he is now pushed as one of the top stars in the company, and it's been much better because of it.
He's a tag team champion, involved in the best storyline in wrestling, possibly. Certainly my favourite.
Yeah. And the Joshi girls, while they got over in the early days, because of their commitments with Stardom, a lot of them weren't on TV, and I think it's not all Kenny's fault because Brandi is in charge of the women's division, but I think the women not getting a focal point on TV at all. I bring it up all the time, but Full Gear, the women's match had 1 week of build. Yeah. That's not good enough. And I think Kenny has shouldered some of that responsibility. Riho had to take like a month and a half off because of Stardom. And that really, really hurt her popularity because in that month you then had Statlander debut, you had Shanna, you had Big Swole come in, and all of a sudden it just felt like Riho became so less important under these other women that have come in.
And the storyline points that have been focused on in the women's division are more of the westernized, over-the-top professional wrestling things, which haven't connected. You know, the Nightmare Collective is the flip side of what Omega's involved in now. It's the worst storyline.
Yeah.
Well, amongst the worst in wrestling.
And there was the story that came in from Meltzer that after the Dark Order finale episode that happened in, so the last episode of 2018, Tony Khan had, 2019. My bad, 2019. Tony Khan has effectively taken more control of the booking. And the show has been much better. You know, this year, I think the Dynamite has been way, way better. I think it's been a consistently great show week to week.
Yeah, but that's the key word. It's the consistent level has risen.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And then, while on the cruise, the Jericho cruise, Kenny Omega and Christopher Daniels effectively announced they're going to be introducing six-man titles next year. They're going to do that on the Jericho cruise. Next year, they're going to hold a tournament and crown their six-man tag team champions.
Yeah, really exciting.
Very, very exciting. But in that, when he was talking to Daniels about this, he said, I have some pull in this company. Well, very little. And Dave Meltzer added, which is actually a story in itself that I probably shouldn't tell.
What a flipping tease you are, Dave Meltzer. Ooh.
And when Dave is not saying a story, that means there is really, really something to tell.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing for him to say. You know, it's not a live show. He could have edited it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, you know, he's close with Kenny. Meltzer is Kenny's sort of exclusive interviewer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kenny will say, no, I don't want to be interviewed by all you people. I trust Dave. He's not going to misrepresent me.
Yeah.
I'll go with him. So it's a very interesting tidbit.
There you go, tidbit.
To sort of slip in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, might be symptomatic of Kenny being a vice president, but then not being as powerful as the others, or maybe all of them have been lessened because Khan's come in and taken more of the book. Well, it's all speculation on our part, but what we do know is that Kenny seems to not have as much pull as he might have thought he would. And
I think it's been really unfortunate as well, because when I did the Wednesday news, there were a lot of comments were like, it's good that Kenny's lost this power because all of his storylines are terrible. And I'm like, guys, I mean, the one story he did in 2019 was bad, but like that ignores all of the other stuff that he's done throughout his wrestling career. Yeah. To say that he is a terrible writer, I think is very unfair.
Well, but at the same time, he's never been a booker for, well, to my knowledge, he's not booked for other people. Wrestlers are great at coming up with ideas for themselves because they are, you know, essentially ego-driven performers. But I mean, what's been really interesting to me, a lot of interviews have come out from the cruise. Pretty much all the young guys and Moxley as well have said, oh yeah, that thing was Jericho's idea. That was Jericho's idea. Darby attacking Jericho off the skateboard, Jericho's idea. Eye patch, Jericho's idea. And I'm like, we were saying that Jericho is this entrepreneur, he's a world champion, he should probably be a commentator as well, he's so good. Bloody hell, give the man some more creative input into other people's storylines.
And I think Jericho is so in love with AEW at the moment and really believes that in this project and this promotion, that I could see him being a lifer with this company. And like when he does transition away from in-ring to doing more backstage stuff. And I think what a great mind to have on that.
Yeah, so shall I get into my favourite story of the week that we haven't talked about?
Because it's brilliant. Crazy Vince. Before you do that as well, actually, sorry. So I was listening to Arn Anderson's podcast on the Royal Rumble 2015, the one where Roman won. And there was a really interesting tidbit from that is, do you know why Vince hates tag teams?
No.
It's 2 tickets you have to buy.
Oh, for travel?
Yeah. Apparently that, according to Arn Anderson, it's one of the reasons why Vince hates tag teams. It's 1 extra seat. It
is more expensive per match.
Exactly.
Because you double the amount of people in there.
Yeah.
We're never going to get a 6-man championship. So my story comes from Jensen Karp, a former writer for WWE. He appeared on Radio.com's Swing and Misses show, who have quite a few wrestling interviews sometimes. He talked about stuff, how he used to go in WWE, but this one was my favourite. It's a story about if writers travelled with Vince McMahon on Vince's private plane, because sometimes he gets them on there. Let's come up with some ideas on the way to the show, and they get on there. If you fall asleep, where is it? He was sweet to me, but at the time I was being. So it is effectively, this isn't the best quote to describe it, but if you fell asleep near Vince on this private plane, he would throw almonds at you.
No sleep till Brooklyn, man.
He's nuts.
Literally.
He hates sleep. He only sleeps like 4 hours a night apparently, and he resents having to do that because it gets in the way of work. WWE have gone on record on their sort of investors calls and said, yeah, our main competitor is sleep. So I don't think that's just them making our main competitor is that people only have a limited amount of time. I think Vince is legitimately thinking sleep is the enemy for everyone.
Yeah. It's his biggest, apart from having to shave because he doesn't want the beard to win.
Yeah. Stuff like that. It's such a control thing. Oh, I've got to give in to my natural human requirements to restore my body.
Can you imagine only having 4 hours of sleep a night? Like, I get 8 hours and sometimes I wake up and be like, phew, I am tired.
I know. But yeah, this is the CEO of a publicly traded organisation and he's throwing nuts at his employees. It's just silly, but I think it could, over time, probably, it's like water torture, isn't it? Anyway, crazy Vince story there.
Yeah, shall we jump into the mailbag?
Let's do it.
Okay, so if you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you've got to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers over on Patreon at any dollar amount and leave a comment in the community section labelled mailbag. Do not send it to me as an email. I will just lose it. And of course, you get to join Wrestle League. We're going to be reviewing Royal Rumble 2001. We've got the Drunk Cast going out next week. Lots of brilliant perks on Patreon. So our first question comes in from Lorenzo Hayes, who says, to Luke, who is your favourite female wrestler of all time? Mine is Gail Kim, but I honestly could see Asuka taking her spot before the end of this year. And to Ollie, how old were you when you moved out of your parents' house? Do you have any advice for someone leaving home? Do you want to do? I'll do mine. I think it's Awesome Kong.
That's a good show.
Yeah, I think Awesome Kong is my favourite. Yeah, I absolutely loved her running TNA. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
I was 18 when I moved out, went to uni, then lived a few places after uni. Awful relationship, went sour, had to move back home when I was 23 for 2 years.
You actually tell that story in detail on one of our WrestleTalk Extra podcasts that you can hear as a patron.
And then moved back out at 25 into the lad pad a year before one of our friends got a girl pregnant and we all had to move out. But advice for someone leaving home, just do not live by yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly, it will drive you mad. I did it. I lived by myself for a year when I did my masters, and it was a dark time. And I'm a naturally cheery person, but you just spiral.
Yeah. I would also, if I was to give a bit of advice, I know you didn't ask for it, stay on top of cleaning, because it's a very slippery slope when you first move out to just end up living in a trash hole. Yeah. And it's once you get to that bottom point, when you realise you're in a trash hole, you're like, oh, now it's very difficult to climb back out of that. So if you stay on top cleaning early doors, you should be all right. Adonis says, this is a very interesting one. Hi, fellas. I've only been watching wrestling for 5 months.
Oh, wow.
But I've noticed that NXT
Thanks for being a Patreon.
Yeah. But I've noticed that NXT and AEW matches usually are a lot faster and, for lack of a better word, more vicious. Then I heard your NXT Brooklyn Takeover 2017 podcast where you mentioned the main roster talent being upset with WWE because they weren't allowed to put on the same kind of match on Backlash as the NXT talent did on Takeover. Why don't they put on these matches on the main roster if they are totally capable of doing it? Is it not over with the crowd? Thank you a lot. Thank you for all the amazing content. From Adonis.
Thank you very much, Adonis. That's fascinating that you're only 5 months into your wrestling fandom. You've got quite a unique take, I guess. But yes, that's it. WWE main roster have a vision of what they think works, and it caters for a more mainstream audience in their minds. And NXT and AEW cater for a more hardcore fan who is more up to date with a modern style of wrestling, which is typically more vicious, looks better.
Yeah, I think Vince has a certain style that he likes, and he doesn't like the NXT style. I mean, he doesn't watch it. Ket asks, what's up, WrestleTalk? I'm currently majoring in journalism. I'd love to write, and if it wasn't for wrestling, I'd probably still be finding my career choice. Is there anything in your lives that you hold dear to your heart, and you have wrestling to thank for it? this job.
Yeah, and the friends, like, you know, I was friends with you beforehand, but I wouldn't have met Laurie if it wasn't for the wrestling. Pete and Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this community that we've got. You guys. That's what I hold dear. Richard Jacques. Hey guys, 2 questions here. First, if you could pick one WWE legend in their prime versus one AEW star, who would you choose? Mine would be Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin. And second, who do you guys think could be AEW's Undertaker in terms of longevity and superstardom?
Kurt Angle versus Kenny Omega.
That's such a good shout.
And Undertaker, AEW's Undertaker. You do yours and I'll think of AEW's Undertaker.
It's hard to, I mean, yeah, that's such a good shout. The Dudleys versus the Young Bucks.
Yeah, oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough one because they don't really, maybe Darby?
Could be, yeah.
I don't know, it's a tough one though.
Nicholas Walton, here's just a fun question to accompany a dumb story from my youth. When I was about 14, 15, my friends and I would go to the school and wrestle in a cardboard recycling cage. The deal was the boxes would be a soft place to land. One day we were having a handicap match, me versus my friend Dan and Steve. I was laid out across a refrigerator box. Dan and Steve climbed up on top of either corners of the cage and attempted to duplicate the Hardy Boys double leg drop splash spot. Unfortunately, Dan didn't bend his knees when hitting the leg drop and basically John Cena'd my nose. Is there a story where you disregard the WWE's don't try this at home policy? Did it have disastrous consequences? Now, I used to do some backyard wrestling back in the early 2000s when it was a cool thing to do. Like my friends and I would just put mattresses outside and suplex each other off of we had quite a shallow garage, so you could just sort of suplex off that and it was borderline safe. But I have never broken a bone.
Wow.
I've never broken a bone in my body, apart from obviously, you always break your little toes, apparently.
Yeah. Big boner Luke here.
But I've been very, very lucky. Touch wood, I've never broken anything. And considering the wild crap I used to do in my teenage years, that's remarkable.
I jumped off a very high stool in Cos when I was 20, and I was very drunk, topless, about 2 in the morning, onto a very hard floor. Won the match. But I really hurt my hip.
Austin Tussey, with the feed reverting people back to their old gimmicks, who do you think would be cool to go back to their old gimmick? I'd like to see Ricochet go back to being Prince Puma.
Yeah, go back to something that was over. That's a good idea. Back to old gimmicks. Well, you know, Fiend is fantastic. I think the Wyatt family is still one of the best gimmicks. I want to see the Wyatt family back.
Yeah, Eric Rowan going back to being a vintner, I think is the one I'd like to go for, where he was the idiot savant, where he was also brilliant at guitars and Rubik's Cubes. Martin Harmon, my wife just asked me, is Jon Moxley a modern-day Stone Cold? I guess not from a mainstream popularity perspective, more like attitude and his old-school wrestling style. I think she's right. What do you think?
Yeah, I really agree. I think, but no, he isn't a carbon copy of Stone Cold, but he is in that brawling vein. It's weird, like if Owens and Moxley were combined, I think that would be Stone Cold. Yeah.
Dylan Tyrrell Reeve says, if WWE had gone out of business during Nitro's 88-week lead in the ratings, how long do you think WCW would have lasted and what effect would it have had on the industry? I.e., do you think companies like TNA and ROH would have still come to light? P.S. My lady partner, Ashleen, thinks it's hilarious how Luke pronounces her name and thinks Ollie is quite a handsome chap, meaning me and him are now sworn enemies. JK, love you lots, Davis. Now, I clarified.
Aisling.
Well, I clarified it as Ashleen.
Ashleen.
It's like Ashleen B.
Quite a handsome chap. That's code speak for, oh, what a sexy boy he is. I bet he has a. I think that the wrestling industry always needs competition. So whether it was WWF or WCW that won that war, there would have been a response of companies to program against that.
And they would have essentially hoovered up all of that talent that were lost out from WWF going out of business. Flaming Clive says, in 2012, Bleacher Report wrote an article saying DDP was supposed to debut facing The Rock in a People's Champion feud during the invasion and not The Undertaker if this had happened. How would you want it to have been booked, as I'm sure Vince would have still buried DDP? Side note, Mojo Rawley and Matt Riddle should form a tag team called the Hype Bros. That was Mojo Rawley's original tag team with Zack Ryder. They were the Hype Bros.
I don't know if that was ever the plan. It was just something that DDP had pitched.
He was speculating, He has been on the record for pretty much since 2003 saying that's what he wanted to do.
Because it's a good idea. Yeah. It's a much better idea than what we got, which was him stalking the Undertaker's wife.
You look really sexy, Sarah. I love watching you from afar.
And with The Rock's admiration for the Rhodes family. I'm sure he would have been very much on board with that as well, just because DDP is kind of connected with all those people. Yeah, I think Vince would have still buried it.
Yeah, and like The Rock wasn't around for the start of the invasion. He came in sort of halfway through. Also, DDP, really his downfall in WWF is that he liked to plan out his matches, which is fine for Randy Savage to do, but not DDP. So he was completely buried for doing that. William Tuckwell, hi there folks, new Patreon here. I just finished watching Progress's unboxing and it got me thinking about a question I've had for a while. It's no secret that WWE doesn't book wrestlers particularly well. With many alternatives who can do a much better job in booking talent, many wrestlers can both earn a good living and retain their star power. With that being said, do you lose a little respect for wrestlers who join WWE knowing that their characters will probably be quite damaged in the process?
It's difficult because, you know, it's WWE. You've got to make a living. They're going to pay you the best. But if you do go there expecting to have control over your character or that you'll be pushed well if you're slightly smaller, I've got no sympathy for you. And if you re-sign, I'm looking at you, Gallows, Anderson, potentially Rusev, Kanellis, yeah, that's on you.
Yeah, Tom Delves. Hello, my dudes. Hope you're not completely freezing over there. Pete and Andy looked so cool with t-shirts over their hoodies. Did you see that on the SmackDown review?
No.
So
Andy runs very cold.
So they still wanted to push the merchandise, but didn't want to take their hoodies up. So they just put the t-shirts over their hoodies.
That's good.
With the Rumble coming up, it's got me thinking: should events such as Money in the Bank, the Rumble, King of the Ring, etc., be used to push someone to the main event scene rather than having the likes of Seth and Roman winning? Wouldn't it be nice to see a Money in the Bank match with no former world champions in it, or would it make the match seem less important? Much love from New Zealand.
I think once or twice a year they should totally do that. They've got all these apparatus to make new stars, but they very rarely use it.
Yeah. Ryan B. Bad, I know you guys are still calling a move from NXT to either Raw or SmackDown a call-up. Now, I guess I'm in the minority when I don't think it's a call-up anymore. I really don't think you're in the minority on that. My question is, what will it take for you guys and others to change their minds and start thinking NXT as the main roster? They already have people in the Rumbles in the last few years, also won a Survivor Series. They're rumored to have a match or matches at Mania. Will it take a Mania appearance to change people's minds, or what else is needed? Will WWE need to change the mindset? It's not us. WWE still think of NXT as developmental, and it's a call-up to Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like it's their wording.
And the whole culture is, when you move from, it's like if you move from SmackDown to Raw, your gimmick isn't necessarily changed. You're the same character, and all of that history comes with you. If you come up from NXT, you're revamped.
Yeah.
You know, your feuds will be dropped.
Yeah, it's quite likely that you'll be brought up as a completely different person. Like, you know, Bobby Roode's a great example of that. Someone who was brought up and they just disregarded everything that he did in NXT and be like, no, you're now a smiling babyface with cool entrance music. So yeah, it's WWE's mindset there. And also it's a pay thing. Like you are signed to a very small contract in NXT and then you are called up to the main roster and given actual money. Callum, hey, what's up, WrestleTalk? My question to you guys is, could you see Moxley going back to WWE this year with his 1-year opt-out? WWE could give him an offer with creative freedom like Bray Wyatt has at the moment. I don't think Bray Wyatt has creative freedom. I think he just pitched his idea. Do you think he will?
No, he said he wants to wrestle in New Japan for the rest of his life, and WWE won't let that happen.
Chris asked, hi guys, my question is, what are your thoughts on the Matt Jeff Hardy situation in WWE? You would think with the history they both have together, the brothers would have been treated better by Vince and Triple H.
Yeah, well, they've always treated Jeff well, but he's his own worst enemy, and
Yeah.
he keeps getting either injured or has these substance abuse issues. And they've never seen Matt as a draw, even though he's proven himself to be outside that company.
And they did not get the broken world, and I don't think they gave it a fair chance. And they treated it like it was crap from the start. Like they had literally Michael Cole tell you, this is crap, I don't know why you like this, and then were surprised when it didn't get over. Chris Thorne, 2018 we had the 50-man Royal Rumble, 2019 we had the 50-man Battle Royal, in 2020 the stage is set for the 50-man Elimination Chamber. I think at this point Punk won't return as a wrestler. However, would you like to see him as a manager, faction leader? I think in a face faction to go against Rollins' new group, with Punk always talking for them would be amazing. But he might suffer with Alexa Bliss syndrome and overshadow them.
I mean, any use of Punk is going to be good because he can make anything work, really. He's a bit Jericho-like in that scenario. He's great on commentary, he's great in the ring, he's a great talker. I'm sure he'd be a fantastic manager. But I don't think that's the most effective way to do it. I think he's a singles guy.
Jeffrey Edgecombe, have you seen Lacey Evans on The Bump? What a segment. Was a fan before as both heel and face, but it's such a good segment, I implore anyone to check it out. Her part in the show really gets over, and she's like a really nice person. If you liked her before, you will like her more. Inspiring and moving. I don't even know what The Bump is.
It's a YouTube show that might be on TikTok. It's a thing. It's a thing that
Yeah.
sounds like I'm just going to do a bit of cocaine.
Yeah, I mean that's what I know a bump as. Yeah, unless the wrestling world is where you take a flat back one. Marky Boy 75. Hi guys, I'm one of your pod swafters, and after listening to your news podcast on Friday, I was shocked to learn that listening figures have been dropping. I myself must admit I don't listen to SmackDown or NXT reviews, and you shouldn't be that shocked that plays are going down. Because A, it's not Luke and Ollie doing the review. B, after what happened with The Fiend and Kofi, I'm not interested in what happens on SmackDown. I'd be interested to know if this is a common theme with others. Keep up the great content. Based on the feedback we've had from that Friday episode, yeah, it appears to be the case that people are just burnt out on wrestling. There's too much wrestling on TV now, and they haven't got time for every bit of it, so they just pick and choose the bits they want to watch. Dwayne Cooley, hello Swafters and WrestleTalk crew. Been watching Being the Elite has been interesting to me, and the fact that it creates, builds storylines, gets over characters, and establishes the relationships between people and these characters. For instance, the Halloween episode of 2019 titled BTE Story was essentially the start of the Hangman Page character development and the projected the Page versus Omega feud. Right now, there seems to be some kind of relationship between Statlander and Orange Cassidy. My question is, do you think a few things like this from BTE and putting it on TV would make the product feel a little bit more different and establishing getting over characters, or become too goofy as some skits aren't to be taken seriously? I think it would really help to get characters. That Statlander Orange Cassidy needs to be seen on TV. Thank you for the mustache break video.
Well, thank Vinny for that, and WrestleTalk Clips for putting it together. Everyone go over there and subscribe. Tonally it would jar.
Completely.
But that's not to say that you can't have more backstage skits on AEW to develop stuff like Statlander Cassidy. They did it when Cassidy was just in the toilet as part of that brawl. That's been something that has been missing this year, I would say.
Yeah.
When Khan seems to have gotten the book.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe that's where they workshop ideas, because they don't have house shows.
Yeah, could be. Abraham, hey Luke and Ollie, probably. What do you guys think of naming the Rollins faction the Second Coming, like Seth's theme? Is that what his theme's called?
I don't know.
I think it'd be a great name because, in a weird way, it's the Second Coming of the Shield and the Authorities.
Ah, yeah.
Second question. I think
it
you
is
missed
called the Second Coming.
I think you missed this a few weeks ago. When do you think the Fiend should enter first in a match? If the Fiend doesn't get beaten until then, I'd love to see him enter first at SummerSlam against a heel Demon Finn Balor. So I think he always comes out second in his matches.
Yeah, it's more impactful to come out second, because then you can get the wrestler in the ring looking scared.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if someone's got an equally good entrance, Balor, Taker, you could make that cool.
Aaron Watson, hello to everyone at WrestleTalk. I'm writing to say that I'm going to my first New Japan show in Tampa for the New Beginnings USA tour. This is only my second live wrestling event, and I couldn't be more excited. The main event is slated to be Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, Finn Juice, and Rocky Romero versus the Bullet Club of Owens, Takahashi, and G.O.D. in a 5-on-5 elimination match. My question for you, gents, is what do you think of that main event?
I think it's not going to be the main event anymore, I'm afraid, mate. If you haven't seen already, Ibushi has contracted, I think it's influenza.
Yeah.
So he won't. He's going to be missing the tour, which is a real shame. He's the guy with all the belts.
Yeah.
But look forward to some banging Rocky Romero intros.
Kota Ibushi doesn't have any of the belts. Naito has the belts.
Sorry, I can't. I thought what I wanted to happen happened.
Yeah. You are going to get that awesome Rocky Romero stuff.
And
though.
it will be really, really fun.
Yeah. Big Mace, hello there, WrestleTalk crew. Whomever is reading this email, feel free to send regards to everyone. My name is Mason, and I'd like to say thank you for reigniting my passion for pro wrestling. I discovered the channel back in 2016 when the AJ Styles Royal Rumble debut was but a rumour. I've watched and I've continued to watch and support WrestleTalk since. I've only since recently been able to become a patron and would like to ask you this one question. Suppose, starting this weekend, you were in charge of booking a year-long angle to put over a young talent. Who would it be, and how would you get them there? Once again, thank you from Mason from Silsbee, Texas, the town where Mark Henry is from. Is where Daniel Bryan's from? That's the real question.
Yeah, he seems to be from everywhere. You should get it. That's why he gets such big reactions everywhere.
Yeah.
A young talent.
My pick would be Darby in AEW. I would do a year-long storyline with Darby Allin, where at the end of it he feels like a real main event deal. I think he's already, like, the building blocks are there for it.
Oh, it's difficult because, like, you know, Keith Lee, I think, is early 30s, mid 30s. He's hardly a young talent. He's just new to a certain audience.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go with Keith Lee then. Yeah, and you run it from Survivor Series. He has a record number of eliminations in the Rumble or something. You feed that through, and you just slowly drip feed him into the main roster and have one of those. You know, he could have a Kurt Angle first year.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
From notoriety, from Survivor Series to Survivor Series. but you just do it a bit differently. Maybe bring back King of the Ring, and don't give him a freaking king gimmick.
This is from Kevin, who just finished watching the predictions video for the Rumble. The mic was not too low, it was broken, but he liked the new format. It gives an opportunity to have the whole gang in the same video. Here comes the question. You guys joked about the fact that Pete was a copycat. When you think about it, it feels that this way every year with the Rumble. Every match is easily predictable. There's no reason to think that a major champion will lose their title unless WWE wants to give Cena or Charlotte their 28th reign. Even the winner of the Rumble feels less like a surprise. Do you think WWE should stop building major title matches for this pay-per-view and focus on building multiple potential Rumble winners so you won't have to put money on the same horse, or in this case, Big Dog? Or should they just bring more interest into those title matches? Thanks for reading. Keep up the great work and have a happy Rumble weekend. I mean, you say it's predictable, but we went for different winners sort of across the boards.
I think just build everything. But title changes don't really work at the Rumble, so use them to get over like upper mid-carder guys in that slot in defeat.
Yeah, like we said that a really good Rumble WWE title match would have been Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet. And have Ricochet get those like near falls and sort of hope moments, but have Brock eventually win, getting over Ricochet in the defeat. The Zornese. First, I would like all you guys, no girl there, yes, it is like the BAFTAs, who do the live results on the website. Very funny and very dedicated. Second, what is the best way to support WrestleTalk financially? Super Chats or Patreon? Spending the same amount. Also, does it help to have YouTube on, playing all of your videos?
Well, thank you very much, Zornese. It's Liam. It's Liam who does the live results on the website. Yeah. Liam Wynnard, great writer. The best way to support us, I guess, would be Patreon.
Yeah.
I've never actually sat down and looked at it.
Well, YouTube take a fair chunk of
super chats, but yeah, if you keep super chatting on every episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, Patreon. Go over to Patreon.
And he is.
And there's of course, yeah. There's many tiers there that you can get. But thank you very much for asking.
And t-shirts.
Oh, and buy a t-shirt.
Yeah. Marcus Campbell, with all the allegations of bullying, racism, etc. against Tessa Blanchard, how do you guys think Impact would handle her reign as world champion?
I've got no idea.
I think they'll just stay the course.
Yeah, like it's they've had this storyline for a year, pretty much, and you know, might as well stick with it. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
That's exactly it.
I like to think that people can change. These allegations are from 2 years ago, but then other allegations have come out that she's still a bit of a bully. So I don't know. I don't know.
Michael Bunge, maybe, or Bunge. Greetings, gentlemen. Hopefully this reached you before recording the Friday show. Simple question, really. Do you think WWE felt forced to put the North American title on Keith Lee since Dynamite was taped early and everyone knew there was going to be a title change? Or do you think it was the plan all along? Keep up the great work. The channel really helps me relax.
Oh, thank you. I speculated this yesterday in the office, but I think it's coincidental. The Lee stuff's been building, and it's the right decision.
Completely. Jobber JJ, and also they didn't compete against each other. Like, they weren't in the same segment. Like, so I think if it had been in the same, like if it had also been the opening segment, maybe you could have made the argument, but I think Lee main eventing the show. Jobber JJ, hello Swaff Nation and WrestleTalk crew. My question is about NXT. I had some big issues the past few weeks. I felt like the title change was not important. A DQ finish between Io and Tony. All storylines dropped for Worlds Collide. My question is NXT becoming Raw and SmackDown, and should they drop all the pointless shows? Should WWE look at its structure on what content they produce, because they have run off so many fans? Have a super day.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, that was Simon and Laurie's criticism yesterday, that a lot of storyline stuff has halted because of this pay-per-view at the weekend. And they potentially hot-shot a lot of stuff at the end of last year. Still a very good weekly show.
Yeah. Avnahav, this is our last question. Hello, lovely guys, and Randy. After listening to last week's WrestleTalk magazine show about AEW merging with Ring of Honor and New Japan, I don't think it's a good idea. AEW has currently only pushed certain stars to its main event show, and I have completely ignored some stars. Two that come to mind are Jimmy Havoc and Bea Priestley. Bea has been completely forgotten, and I was really excited to see her because I heard good things about her. But it looks like AEW has forgotten all about her. I guess they are in a relationship with Stardom, and that is one of the main reasons why the women's division is facing these issues. Do you guys think that first AEW should give their current stars proper exposure, like Havoc, Spears, Priestley, Shanna, and then think about expanding?
Well, yes, they should give their current stars more exposure, but there is only so much time. I think they've got the balance very well. I wouldn't like to see any more people be introduced. I think you've got a good mid-card and all that, and tag division.
There's only so much TV time.
Yeah, and the women's division isn't getting enough exposure, so you can't really bring up other people, which is why I think the ROH deal would be a really good working relationship, because then those people who aren't being used can go to Ring of Honor and work there.
Yeah,
work the
completely.
house show loops.
Yeah, that's why I think it's a really smart move to get that working relationship going. But that is our final question.
Yeah, so go over to the link in the video description below to join in with Wrestle League,
Yes!
the latest season, which begins with the Royal Rumble.
The Royal Rumble.
The Royal Rumble. This is, you have to be a Patreon of $5 a month or more, but it will tell you, you've got to log in here and work it all out. Hopefully, it's the first time we've done it.
In fact, Randy's just sent us a message with a link to the portal.
Oh! Great timing.
I think this is when. Yeah, he said, let me know if there are any questions. I'll be putting it live on Patreon later this afternoon. So actually, by the time that this goes live, the portal will be live.
And potentially already broken. And also, go and get yourself a new WrestleTalk t-shirt design. Have a big one, and Creative has nothing for you. They're much more reasonable now. £19.
Yeah.
Or just under $25, I believe. So head over there, also by clicking the link in the video description below. And click the videos on screen to catch up with the latest awesome episodes of WrestleTalk stuff. And this button right here, which will make you a Patreon pledge hammer straight out. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, and that was wrestling.